Therapadana. The Legends of the Theras. Vijani Chapter, the 6th. 51, Vidhupanadayaka. I dedicated a fan to Pañcadiptika the Buddha. The world's best one, the neutral one. The such-like lord of all bipeds. Bringing pleasure to my own heart. Pressing both my hands together. Having worshipped the Sambuddha, I departed facing the north. Picking up the fan I gave him. The teacher, the world's chief leader. Standing in the monks' assembly. Then spoke these verses about me. Because of this gift of a fan. And the resolve in his own heart. For 100,000 eons. He won't go to a place of grief. Resolved, with strenuous effort. Attentive to the heart's virtue. He will attain arahantship. When he's only 7 years old. In 60,000 eons hence. He will be 16 different kings. Who'll all be named Vijayamana. Will turning monarchs with great strength. The 4 analytical modes. And these 8 deliverances. 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Vidhupanadayaka Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Vidhupanadayaka Thera is finished. (52) Satarasika. Ascending a rock outcropping. The ultimate man sat down there. I, a Brahmin mantra master. In the region of that mountain. Having pressed my hands together. Kindly praised him, the world leader. The god of gods, the bull of men. The great hero who had arrived. This is the Buddha, great hero. The preacher of the best teaching. Like a blazing column of fire. Honored by the monks' assembly. Imperturbable as the sea. Hard to cross as is the ocean. Fearless as the king of the beasts. The Eyeful One preaches Dhamma. Discerning what I was thinking. The Buddha named for the lotus. Standing in the monks' assembly. The teacher spoke these verses then. This one who's pressed hands together. And has praised me, the best Buddha. For 30,000 eons hence. He will exercise divine rule. In 100,000 eons. The one named for Anjurasa. The Sambuddha, with blinders off. Will come into existence then. Worthy heir to that one's Dhamma. Dhamma's legitimate offspring. The one known as Satarasi. Will become an arahant then. Being only 7 years old. I went forth into homelessness. I am known as Satarasi. My light purifies the whole world. On a stage or beneath a tree. Meditator, trance lover. I am bearing my last body. In the Supreme Buddha's teaching. 60,000 eons ago. There were 4 men known as Roma. They were will-turners with great strength. Possessors of the 7 gems. The 4 analytical modes. And these 8 deliverances. 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Sataramsiya Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Satarasika Thera is finished. (53) Sayanadayaka. Pañcadiptika the Buddha. Had pity on the whole world. I donated a bed to him. With a mind that was very clear. Because of that gift of a bed. Food would then just appear to me. Like a seed's yield in a good field. That's the fruit of giving that bed. I make my bed up in the sky. I am carrying the whole earth. I have lordship over creatures. That is the fruit of a bed gift. Then 5,000 eons ago. There were 8 named Mahavara. 3,400 eons hence. There were 4 kings with great strength. The 4 analytical modes. And these 8 deliverances. 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Sayanadayaka Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Sayanadayaka Thera is finished. 54. Gandhadayaka. There was a Bodhi tree festival. For Pañcadiptika Buddha. Taking a decorated pot. I donated scented water. When that Bodhi was being bathed, a huge cloud rained down upon it. And there was a deafening sound. When the lightning bolts burst forth there. Due to the force of that lightning, I passed away right then and there. Standing in the world of the gods, I uttered these verses aloud. Oh! The Buddha! Oh! The teaching! Oh! Our teacher's great achievement! My dead body has fallen down. And I now delight in heaven. My residence is very tall. Rising up 100 stories. 100,000 virgins now are around me all of the time. Disease does not exist for me. Grief too does not exist for me. I do not experience pain. That is the fruit of good karma. 2800 eons thence, I was named King Savasita, a will turner with great power, possessor of the 7 gems, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Gandhadayaka Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Gandhadayaka Thera is finished. 55. Opavuya. To Pañcadiptika Buddha. I gave a fine thoroughbred horse, assigning it to the Buddha. I then went back to my own house. The teacher's top follower was the monk whose name was Devala, worthy heir to the best teaching. He came into my presence then. The Blessed One bears his own bull. He will not use a thoroughbred. The Eyeful One accepted it, because he had discerned your thoughts. I got the price for that wind quick speed vehicle that came from Sind. Then I gave a suitable gift to Pañcadiptika Buddha. In whichever womb I'm reborn, whether it's human or divine, suitable and variegated, Sind horses then arise for me. The gain for them is well received, who undergo ordination. If a Buddha's born in the world, then they should serve him constantly. I was a king with great power. 28 different times back then. Lord of the grove of rose apples. Victorious on all 4 sides. This is the final time for me. My last rebirth is proceeding. I've attained the unshaking state, beyond all conquest and defeat. 34,000 eons thence, there was a king of great power, a will turner who had great strength, possessor of the 7 gems, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Opavuya Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Opavuya Thera is finished. 56. Sapaśivarāsana. I gave alms food which was begged for to Pañcadiptika Buddha. Going to the place where he ate, I scattered jasmine flowers there. Seated on that seat, the Buddha, the top leader of the whole world, the upright and attentive one, praised that alms food which was begged for. Just as even a little seed, when planted in a fertile field, will bear completely when it rains, fruit that brings the plowman delight. So too this alms food which was begged, planted in a good field by you, when you're reborn in existence, you will be pleased with the fruit then. Having said this, the Sambuddha, whose name was that of the lotus, extolling alms food which is begged, then departed facing the north. self-controlled in the monk's precepts, and in the 5 organs of sense. Being one bound to solitude, I'm living without defilements. The 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Sapaśivarāsana Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Sapaśivarāsana Thera is finished. 57. Pañcadiptika. After praising the true teaching of Buddha Pajamuttara, who took pity on all creatures, I was one who had upright views. I donated a gift of lamps to surround the great Bodhi tree. Believing in the Buddha, I then lit those lamps all of the time. In whichever womb I'm reborn, whether it's human or divine, torches are carried in the sky. That is the fruit of giving lamps. Right through walls, also right through rocks, and passing over mountain tops. I can see in all directions, even 100 leagues distant. Through the rest of that good karma, I have attained arahantship. I'm bearing my last body in the biped Lord's dispensation. 3400 eons thence, I was known as Sadakaku. I was a king with great power, a will-turner who had great strength. The 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Pañcadiptika Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Pañcadiptika Thera is finished. 58. Dhajadayaka. Happy, and with a happy heart, I hoisted up a flag back then, at the stupendous Bodhi tree of Pajamuttara Buddha. Having picked up the fallen leaves, I threw them all away outside, as though facing the Sambuddha, the fully free one, undefiled. I worshipped the superb Bodhi, clean inside and clean outside too. Pajamuttara, world knower, sacrificial recipient, standing in the monk's assembly. The teacher spoke these verses then. Because of both this service and this donation of a flag here, for 100,000 eons, he will go to no bad rebirth. Among the gods he will enjoy abundant divine happiness, and various hundreds of times he'll be king of a country. He will be a will-turning king. His name will then be Uggata. Having enjoyed this happiness, incited by his wholesome roots, he will delight in the teaching of Gautama the Blessed One. I am one bent on exertion, calmed, devoid of grounds for rebirth. I am bearing my last body in the Supreme Buddha's teaching. 51,000 eons hence, I was known as King Uggata. 50,000 eons ago, I was the king known as Mega. The 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Dhajadayaka Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Dhajadayaka is finished. 59. Paduma. He was declaring the 4 truths, while turning the best Dhamma wheel, reigning the reign of deathlessness, liberating many people, taking a lotus with a flag, standing half a kosa away. Happy, I raised it in the air. For the sage Pajamuttara. There was a strange occurrence then. The lotus approached the Buddha. Discerning what I was thinking, the best debater then took it. Having taken with his fine hand that superb water-born lotus, standing in the monk's assembly, the teacher spoke these verses then. I shall relate details of him who just tossed this lotus flower to the omniscient arahant. All of you listen to my words. 30 eons as king of gods. He will exercise divine rule. With 700 earthly reigns. He will reside upon the earth. Taking a bowl of lotuses there. He'll be a king who turns the wheel. A rain of flowers from the sky will rain on him all of the time. In 100,000 eons. Arising in Okaka's clan. The one whose name is Gautama will be the teacher in the world. Worthy heir to that one's Dhamma. Dhamma's legitimate offspring. Knowing well all the defilements. He'll reach nirvana, undefiled. Coming forth from my mother's womb. Both comprehending and mindful. When I was only 5 years old. I attained my arahantship. The 4 analytical modes. And these 8 deliverances. 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Paduma Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Paduma Thera is finished. 60. Asanabodhya. When I was but 7 years old, I saw the Buddha, world chief. Happy, and with a happy heart. I went up to the best of men. Happy, and with a happy heart. I planted the best Bodhi tree. For him, Tissa, the blessed one. The world's best one, the neutral one. Foot drinker growing in the earth. It was known as an asana. For 5 years I tended that tree. The superb asana Bodhi. Having seen that flowering tree. Marvel making hair stand on end. Relating my own karma then. I went up to the best Buddha. Tissa, who was then Sambuddha. Self become one, the top person. Seated in the monks' assembly. Spoke these verses about me then. I shall relate details of him. Who has planted this Bodhi tree. And honored me with Buddha puja. All of you listen to my words. For 30 eons among gods. He will exercise divine rule. And 64 times he'll be. A king who turns the wheel of law. Falling from Tusita heaven. Incited by his wholesome roots. Experiencing the twofold bliss. He'll delight in the human state. Being one bent on exertion. Calmed, devoid of grounds for rebirth. Knowing well all the defilements. He'll reach nirvana, undefiled. Binding myself to solitude. Calm of mind, with desires blown out. Like a tusker with broken chains. I'm living without defilements. In the 92 eons since. I planted that Bodhi back then. I've come to know no bad rebirth. That's the fruit of planting Bodhis. 74 eons ago. I was a will-turning monarch. I was known as Dasina. Possessor of the 7 gems. 73 eons ago. There were 7 lords on the earth. They were all will-turning monarchs. Who were named Samantanami. 25 eons ago. The Kshatriyan named Pwaka. Was a will-turner with great strength. Possessor of the 7 gems. The 4 analytical modes. And these 8 deliverances. 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Asanabodhya Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Asanabodhya Thera is finished. The summary. Vijani and Sataras. Sayan, Odaki, Vahia. Parivara and Padapa. Dhaja, Paduma Pujaka. And Bodhi said to be the 10th. Thus 2 and 90 verses. The Vijani chapter, the 6th.